Sarah walked down the empty street. The sun was going down behind the tall buildings. She had been walking for 2 hours now. Her feet hurt, but she could not stop. Not yet. She looked at the piece of paper in her hand. The address was still there, written in her mother's handwriting. 425 Oak Street. Sarah had never been to this part of the city before. Everything looked different here. The houses were old and small. Some had broken windows. Others had no lights on at all. Sarah was 23 years old. She had long brown hair and green eyes. She was not very tall, but she was strong. She had to be strong. Life had made her that way. 3 days ago, her mother died. Sarah found her on the kitchen floor when she came home from work. The doctor said it was her heart. Sarah knew her mother had been sick, but she thought there was more time. There is never enough time, after the funeral. Sarah went through her mother's things. That is when she found the letter. It was in an old shoebox under the bed. The letter was yellow and old. It was addressed to Sarah, but it was never sent. Her mother had written it 10 years ago. The letter said many things. It said her mother was sorry. It said there were things Sarah needed to know, and it gave her an address, 425 Oak Street. The letter said to go there if something happened to her mother. It said to ask for Mr. Chun. Sarah did not understand. Her mother never talked about Mr. Chun. Sarah had never heard that name before, but the letter seemed important. Her mother had kept it for 10 years. There had to be a reason. Now Sarah was here looking for answers. She walked past a small store. An old man sat outside on a chair. He was reading a newspaper. Sarah stopped. "Excuse me," she said. "Do you know where Oak Street is?" The old man looked up. He had kind eyes behind thick glasses. "Oak Street?" "Yes, you are close. Go down this road 2 more blocks, then turn left. Oak Street is right there." "Thank you," Sarah said. "Are you looking for someone?" the old man asked. Sarah thought for a moment. "Yes, someone named Mr. Chun." The old man's face changed. He looked surprised. "Mr. Chun? On Oak Street?" "Yes, do you know him?" The old man was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I know him. He has lived there for many years. He is a good man. But he does not get many visitors." "What does he do?" Sarah asked. "He fixes things. Old things, clocks, watches, small machines. People bring him broken things and he makes them work again." The old man paused. "But he is getting old now. I think he is lonely." Sarah thanked the old man and kept walking. She found Oak Street easily. It was a quiet street with small houses on both sides. Most of the houses looked old but clean. People had small gardens in front of their homes. Some had flowers. Others had vegetables growing. Sarah looked at the numbers on the houses. 421, 423, 425. There it was. 425 Oak Street was a small white house. It had a red door and a small garden with tomatoes and herbs. The house looked well cared for. There was a light on in the front window. Sarah stood at the gate for a long time. She was nervous. What would she say? What if Mr. Chun did not know her mother? What if the letter was a mistake? But she had come this far. She opened the gate and walked to the front door. She could hear music playing inside. It was soft and peaceful. Sarah took a deep breath and knocked on the door. The music stopped. She heard footsteps. The door opened. A man stood there. He was probably in his 70s. He had gray hair and was wearing a clean white shirt. His hands looked strong, like someone who worked with them every day. He looked at Sarah for a long moment. "Yes," he said. His voice was gentle. "Are you Mr. Chun?" Sarah asked. "I am. And you are?" Sarah's heart was beating fast. "My name is Sarah Wilson. My mother was Linda Wilson. She died 3 days ago." Mr. Chun's face went white. He stepped back and held on to the door frame. "Linda?" he said softly. "Linda Wilson?" "Yes, she left me a letter. It had your name and this address. She said to come here if something happened to her." Mr. Chun looked at Sarah very carefully. She could see he was thinking hard about something. His eyes looked sad and happy at the same time. "You look like her," he said finally. "You have her eyes? You knew my mother?" Mr. Chun nodded slowly. "Yes, I knew Linda a long time ago." He paused. "Please, come in. We need to talk." Sarah followed him into the house. It was small but very clean. There were clocks everywhere. Some were on the walls, others sat on tables and shelves. Sarah could hear them all ticking, but they were not loud. The sound was actually peaceful. "Please sit," Mr. Chun said, pointing to a comfortable chair. "Would you like some tea?" "Yes, please." Mr. Chun went to the kitchen. Sarah looked around the room. There were many old things, but everything was in perfect condition. She could see Mr. Chun was good at fixing things. On a small table, she saw a picture of a young woman. The woman looked familiar, but Sarah could not place her. Mr. Chun came back with 2 cups of tea. He sat down across from Sarah. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Mr. Chun said, "Tell me about Linda. How was she? Was she happy?" Sarah thought about how to answer. She was a good mother. She worked hard. She was a nurse at the hospital downtown. She took care of people. But she was always a little sad. I never knew why. Mr. Chun nodded. She was always sad, even when she was young. That was just Linda's way. How did you know her? Sarah asked. Mr. Chun was quiet for a long time. He looked at his hands. Then he looked at the picture on the table. Linda and I were friends, good friends. This was many years ago, before you were born. Sarah waited for him to say more, but he did not. She could tell there was much more to the story. "Mr. Chun, why did my mother want me to come here?" "What did she want me to know?" Mr. Chun looked at her with those sad, kind eyes. "Sarah, there are things about your mother that she never told you. Things she wanted to keep secret. But she also wanted you to know the truth someday. That is why she wrote that letter." "What kind of things?" Mr. Chun stood up and walked to a window. He looked out at the street. "Your mother had a different life before you were born. She was not always a nurse. She was not always Linda Wilson." Sarah felt confused. "What do you mean?" Mr. Chun turned back to her. "Your mother's real name was not Linda Wilson. Her name was Linda Chun?" Sarah stared at him. "Chun? Like your name?" "Yes, Mr. Chun said quietly. "Linda Chun was my daughter." Sarah could not speak. She stared at Mr. Chun with her mouth open. The teacup in her hand started to shake. She put it down on the table before she dropped it. "Your daughter?" Sarah finally said, "But that means you are my grandfather." Mr. Chun nodded. His eyes were full of tears. "Yes, Sarah, I am your grandfather. I have been waiting to meet you for 23 years. Sarah felt dizzy. Everything she thought she knew was wrong. Her mother had told her that she had no family. Her mother said her parents died when Sarah was a baby. But here was her grandfather, alive and living just across the city. "I don't understand," Sarah said. "Why didn't my mother tell me about you? Why did she change her name?" Mr. Chun sat down again. He looked very tired suddenly. "It is a long story, Sarah, and it is not a happy story, but you deserve to know the truth." He was quiet for a moment, thinking about where to start. "Your mother left home when she was 18 years old. We had a big fight. I said things I should not have said. She said things too. We were both angry and proud. After that fight, Linda packed her things and left. She said she never wanted to see me again." Sarah listened carefully. She had never seen her mother really angry. Linda was always calm and quiet. What was the fight about? Sarah asked. Mr. Chun looked uncomfortable. "Linda wanted to marry someone. A young man named David. He was not Chinese like us. I did not like him. I thought he was not good enough for Linda. I told her she could not marry him." Sarah remembered her mother sometimes talked about someone named David, but she always got sad when she said his name. Sarah never asked questions about him. "My mother loved him?" Sarah asked. Double quotes. "Yes, very much. And he loved her too. But I was old-fashioned. I wanted Linda to marry a Chinese man. I wanted her to have a traditional life. Linda said I was wrong. She said love was more important than tradition. We fought for weeks. Finally, Linda said she was going to marry David with or without my permission." Mr. Chun stopped talking. He got up and walked to the window again. "That night Linda left. She took only a few things. She left me a note. It said she was sorry, but she had to live her own life. She said she would always love me, but she could not stay. Sarah felt sad for both of them. Her mother and grandfather had both lost so much because of one fight. Did she marry David? Sarah asked. Mr. Chen turned around. His face looked very sad. Yes, she did. I found out later. They got married at City Hall. Just the two of them. No family, no big wedding, nothing. Sarah thought about this. David was my father? Yes, Mr. Chen said. David Wilson was your father? Sarah had always wondered about her father. Her mother would never talk about him. When Sarah asked questions, her mother would say he died when Sarah was very young. She said it was too painful to talk about. What happened to him? Sarah asked. My mother said he died. Mr. Chen came back to his chair. David did die, Sarah, but not the way your mother probably told you. Sarah felt scared. What do you mean? David died in a car accident when you were 6 months old. But there is more to the story. David was not just in a car accident. He was running away. Running away from what? Mr. Chen looked at his hands again. From the police. David was not a good man, Sarah. I was right about that, even though I was wrong about many other things. David was involved with bad people. He was helping them with illegal things, moving stolen goods, taking money that was not his. Sarah felt sick. My father was a criminal? Yes, and when the police found out, David tried to run. He was driving very fast, trying to get away. That is when he crashed. He died instantly. Sarah did not know what to say. Her father was not a hero who died young. He was a criminal who died running from the police. Your mother was alone after that, Mr. Chen continued. She had a baby to take care of, no money, no job, and she was too proud to come back to me. So she changed her name from Linda Chen to Linda Wilson. She took David's last name to hide who she really was. She was afraid the police might come looking for David's family. But why didn't she contact you later? Sarah asked. After things got better, Mr. Chen smiled sadly. She did try. About 10 years ago, Linda came to see me. She stood outside this house for a long time. I saw her through the window. But she never knocked on the door. I think she was too scared. Too much time had passed. We had both said such terrible things to each other. Sarah remembered that day. Her mother had been gone for hours. When she came home, she looked like she had been crying. But she said she was fine. She said she just went for a long walk. I should have gone outside, Mr. Chen said. I should have talked to her, but I was scared too. I was afraid she would be angry. I was afraid she would leave again. Sarah felt angry at both of them. They had wasted so many years being apart because they were both too proud and too scared to talk. So my mother lived her whole life keeping this secret? Sarah asked. Yes, she became Linda Wilson completely. She went to nursing school. She worked hard. She took good care of you, but she was always lonely. She never got married again. She never let anyone get close to her. Sarah thought about her mother's life. Linda never had boyfriends. She never went out with friends. She worked and took care of Sarah, but she never seemed to have fun. Now Sarah understood why. Why did she write the letter? Sarah asked. Why did she want me to find you now? Mr. Chen picked up the picture from the table. Because she loved you and she loved me. Even though we were apart, we were still family. Linda knew that someday you would need family. She knew I would want to know you. Sarah looked at the picture in Mr. Chen's hands. Now she could see it clearly. It was a picture of her mother when she was young. She looked happy in the picture. Happier than Sarah had ever seen her. She was beautiful, Sarah said. Yes, she was, and she was smart and kind. I was very proud of her, even when I was angry with her. They sat quietly for a few minutes. Sarah was trying to understand everything she had learned. Her whole life story was different now. She had a grandfather. Her father was not a hero. Her mother had lived with secrets for 23 years. What happens now? Sarah asked. Mr. Chen looked at her hopefully. That is up to you, Sarah. I know this is all very surprising. I know you need time to think about everything. But I hope you will come back. I hope we can get to know each other. Sarah looked around the room at all the clocks. They were still ticking peacefully. This house felt calm and safe. Her grandfather seemed kind, even though he had made mistakes in the past. "I would like that," Sarah said. "I would like to come back." Mr. Chin smiled. It was the first real smile Sarah had seen from him. "I would like that very much too." Sarah stood up to leave. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you have any other pictures of my mother? And maybe some stories about when she was little?" Mr. Chin's eyes lit up. "Oh yes, I have many pictures and so many stories. Linda was always getting into trouble when she was young. She was very curious about everything," Sarah smiled. "I would love to hear those stories. Next time," Mr. Chun said. "Come back next week. I will make dinner. And I will tell you all about your mother when she was your age." Sarah walked to the door. Before she left, she turned back. "Grandfather?" Mr. Chen looked surprised to hear her call him that. "Yes, I'm glad my mother wrote that letter. So am I, Sarah, so am I." Sarah walked home slowly that night. Her mind was full of thoughts. Everything felt different now. The same streets looked new to her. The same buildings seemed strange. She was the same person, but her story had completely changed. When she got to her apartment, Sarah sat on her bed and looked around. The place felt empty without her mother. But now it felt empty in a different way. For 23 years, Sarah thought she and her mother were alone in the world. Now she knew they had family all along. Sarah picked up her mother's letter and read it again. Now she understood why her mother had kept it for 10 years. Her mother must have written it and rewritten it many times. Each word was carefully chosen. The letter said other things too. Things Sarah had not paid attention to before. Her mother wrote about a box of old things in the closet. She said Sarah should look at them when she was ready. Sarah had been too sad to look before, but now she was curious. Sarah went to her mother's bedroom and opened the closet. In the back corner, behind the winter coats, was a small wooden box. Sarah had never seen it before. She carried it to the living room and sat down on the couch. Inside the box were many things. There were old photographs of people Sarah did not recognize. There were letters written in Chinese. There was a small piece of jewelry that looked very old. And at the bottom was a diary. Sarah opened the diary carefully. The pages were yellow and old. The writing was her mother's, but it looked different. Younger. The first entry was dated 25 years ago. Sarah read slowly. The diary told the story of a young woman in love. Her mother wrote about David with such happiness. She wrote about their plans to get married and have children. She wrote about her father too, but with sadness. She loved him, but she could not live the life he wanted for her. As Sarah read more, the entries became sadder. Her mother wrote about the fight with her father. She wrote about leaving home. She wrote about being scared and alone. And then she wrote about finding out she was going to have a baby. Sarah found the entry about the day she was born. Her mother wrote about holding her for the first time. She wrote about choosing the name Sarah because it meant princess. She wrote about how much she loved her tiny daughter and how she would do anything to protect her, but then came the hard entries. The ones about David's troubles with the law. Her mother had not known about his illegal activities at first. When she found out, she tried to get him to stop. But David said it was too late. He owed money to dangerous people. Sarah read about the night David died. Her mother wrote about the police coming to the door. They told her about the accident, but they also told her about David's crimes. They said they might need to investigate his family too. Her mother was terrified. She had a 6-month-old baby and nowhere to go. That night, she packed everything and moved to a different apartment. She changed her name and never looked back. The last entry in the diary was from 10 years ago. The day her mother had stood outside Mr. Chun's house but never knocked. Her mother wrote about seeing him through the window. She wrote about how old he looked and how much she missed him. But she also wrote about being too ashamed to face him. Sarah closed the diary and wiped her eyes. She had been crying without realizing it. Her mother had carried so much pain and fear for so many years, and she had done it all alone. Sarah looked at the photographs again. Now she could see the resemblance in some of the faces. These were her relatives. People she had never met but who shared her blood. There was a picture of a young Mr. Chun with a woman who must have been Sarah's grandmother. They looked happy together. There was also a picture of her mother as a little girl. She was wearing a traditional Chinese dress and smiling at the camera. Behind her was a house that looked like Mr. Chun's current home, but newer. Sarah decided to call in sick to work the next day. She needed time to think about everything. She also wanted to go back to see her grandfather. She had so many questions. The next morning, Sarah walked to Oak Street again, but this time she did not feel nervous. She felt excited. When she knocked on the door, Mr. Chun opened it immediately. He looked like he had been waiting for her. "Sarah, I was hoping you would come back soon." "I brought something," Sarah said. She held up the wooden box. Mr. Chun's eyes got wide. "Is that Linda's memory box? I made that for her when she was 16. She kept her special things in it." They sat down together and went through everything in the box. Mr. Chen told Sarah stories about each photograph. He explained what the Chinese letters said. He told her about the piece of jewelry, which had belonged to Sarah's great-grandmother. When they got to the diary, Mr. Chun hesitated. "Are you sure you want me to see this? These might be private thoughts." "I want you to read it," Sarah said. "I think my mother would want you to know what she was thinking." Mr. Chun read quietly for a long time. Sometimes he nodded. Sometimes he sighed. When he got to the part about David's death, he stopped reading and looked at Sarah. "Your mother was very brave," he said. "She was just a young woman with a baby, and she had to face all of this alone." "I should have been there to help her. You didn't know," Sarah said. "But I should have tried harder to find her." "I should have looked for her." Mr. Chun closed the diary. "I was too proud. Just like Linda was too proud to come to my door 10 years ago." Sarah thought about this. Maybe it happened this way for a reason. Maybe we needed to wait until now to find each other. Mr. Chun smiled. "You are very wise, Sarah, just like your mother." They spent the rest of the day talking. Mr. Chun showed Sarah around his house and his workshop. He had tools and machines for fixing clocks and watches. Everything was organized perfectly. Sarah could see that her grandfather was a careful, patient man. "I could teach you," Mr. Chun said. "If you want to learn, it is good to know how to fix things." Sarah picked up a small broken clock from the workbench. "I would like that." Mr. Chun showed her how to open the clock and look at the parts inside. "See this tiny spring? It is broken. That is why the clock does not work. But if we replace it with a new spring, the clock will work again." As they worked together, Sarah felt peaceful. Her hands moved carefully, just like her grandfather's. She was surprised at how much she enjoyed the quiet, detailed work. "Your mother used to help me like this when she was young," Mr. Chun said. "She had good hands for this work. But she wanted to help people instead of fixing clocks. That is why she became a nurse." Sarah thought about her mother working at the hospital. She had always been good at taking care of people. Even when Sarah was sick as a child, her mother always knew exactly what to do. "I think my mother would be happy that we found each other," Sarah said. "Yes, I think so too." That evening, Mr. Chun made dinner for both of them. He cooked traditional Chinese food that Sarah had never tasted before. Everything was delicious. "This is how your mother learned to cook," Mr. Chun said. "I taught her all these recipes when she was a teenager." Sarah tried to imagine her mother as a teenager, learning to cook in this same kitchen. It was strange but wonderful to think about. After dinner, they sat in the living room with tea. The clocks ticked softly around them. Sarah felt like she belonged here. For the first time since her mother died, she did not feel alone. "I want to ask you something," Sarah said. "Of course. Would it be okay if I came here regularly, maybe once or twice a week? I want to learn more about fixing clocks. And I want to hear more stories about my mother." Mr. Chen's face lit up with joy. "Sarah, nothing would make me happier." "This house has been too quiet for too long," Sarah smiled. Then it settled. "I'll come back on Saturday." "I will be here," Mr. Chun said. "I will always be here." As Sarah walked home that night, she felt different again. But this time she felt complete. She had found her family. She had found her place in the world. And even though her mother was gone, Sarah knew that Linda would be proud of what they had accomplished. Sarah looked up at the stars and whispered, "Thank you, Mom. Thank you for the letter." 3 months had passed since Sarah first knocked on her grandfather's door. Now she visited him twice a week, just as she had promised. Every Saturday and Wednesday she would walk to Oak Street after work. Mr. Chun was always waiting for her. With tea and stories. Sarah had learned many things in those 3 months. She could now fix simple clocks and watches. Her hands had become steady and careful, just like her grandfather's. She had also learned to cook several Chinese dishes. Mr. Chun was a patient teacher, and Sarah was a good student, but the most important thing Sarah learned was about her family. Mr. Chun told her stories about her mother's childhood. He showed her more photographs and explained their family history. Sarah discovered she had relatives in China that she had never known about. Mr. Chun's brother still lived there with his children and grandchildren. One Wednesday evening, something unexpected happened. Sarah was working on a broken watch when someone knocked on Mr. Chun's door. This was unusual because Mr. Chun rarely had visitors besides Sarah. Mr. Chun opened the door and found a young man standing there. The man looked nervous and tired. He was about Sarah's age with dark hair and kind eyes. He was holding a small suitcase. "Excuse me," the young man said. "Are you Mr. Chun, the man who fixes clocks?" "Yes, I am," Mr. Chun replied. "How can I help you?" "My name is Michael Davis. I think you knew my grandmother. Her name was Rose Davis, but before she got married, her name was Rose Chun." Mr. Chun stepped back in surprise. Sarah looked up from her work. She could see her grandfather was shocked. "Rose Chun?" Mr. Chun said slowly. "Rose was my sister." Michael smiled for the first time. "Then you are my great-uncle. I have been looking for you for a long time." Mr. Chun invited Michael inside. Sarah put down her tools and listened as Michael told his story. Rose Chun had been Mr. Chun's younger sister. She had moved to another city when she got married 50 years ago. The family had lost touch with her over the years. "My grandmother, Rose, died last month," Michael explained. "Before she died, she told me about her brother who lived in this city. She said his name was Mr. Chun and that he fixed clocks. She made me promise to find you." Mr. Chun sat down heavily in his chair. "Rose is gone?" "Yes, sir, but she lived a good life. She had 3 children and 7 grandchildren. I am her youngest grandson." Sarah watched her grandfather's face. She could see he was sad about his sister, but also happy to meet Michael. In just a few minutes, their small family had grown again. "Why did Rose want you to find me?" Mr. Chen asked. Michael opened his suitcase and took out a small wooden box. It looked similar to the box Sarah's mother had kept. "She wanted me to give you this. She said it belonged to your family." Mr. Chen opened the box carefully. Inside were old letters and photographs. There was also a small gold ring and a piece of paper with Chinese writing on it. "This ring belonged to our mother," Mr. Chun said softly. "Rose took it when she got married. I thought it was lost forever." Sarah moved closer to look at the photographs. She could see the family resemblance in the faces. These people looked like her grandfather and her mother. "There is something else," Michael said. "My grandmother told me that you had a daughter named Linda. She always wondered what happened to her." Mr. Chun and Sarah looked at each other. Then Mr. Chun told Michael the whole story about Linda leaving home and changing her name. He told him about David and about Sarah. Michael listened quietly to everything. When Mr. Chun finished the story, Michael was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "So Linda was my cousin. And Sarah is my second cousin." "Yes," Mr. Chun said. "We are all family." Michael looked at Sarah. "I'm sorry about your mother. It sounds like she was a strong woman." "She was," Sarah said. "I wish she could have met you." Michael stayed for dinner that night. Mr. Chun cooked extra food, and the 3 of them sat around the small table eating and talking. Sarah learned that Michael was a teacher at an elementary school. He taught art to young children. He had never been married and had no children of his own. "Where do you live?" Sarah asked. "I live about 3 hours away by train," Michael said, "but I am thinking about moving here." I do not have much keeping me in my old city. My grandmother was the only family I had there. Sarah felt excited about this idea. There are good schools here. You could probably find work easily. Double quotes, Mr. Chun nodded. You could stay here while you look for a job and an apartment. I have an extra bedroom, Michael smiled. Are you sure? I do not want to be a burden. You are family, Mr. Chun said. Family is never a burden? So Michael moved in with Mr. Chun temporarily. Sarah helped him settle into the spare bedroom. It felt strange but wonderful to have more family around. The quiet house was no longer quiet. There was always someone to talk to and someone to share. Meals with Michael found a job teaching art at a school near Oak Street. The principal liked him immediately. He was good with children and had many creative ideas for art projects. Within 2 weeks, Michael had his own classroom and his own students. Sarah enjoyed having Michael around. He was funny and kind. He also had many stories about their grandmother Rose and the rest of the family. Sarah learned that she had many relatives she had never known about. Some lived far away, but they were still connected by blood and family. History. One evening, Michael suggested something that surprised both Sarah and Mr. Chun. I think we should have a family dinner every Sunday, Michael said. Just the three of us. We can cook together and share stories. It will be our new tradition. Sarah loved this idea. We could each take turns cooking. I could make some of the dishes my mother used to make. Mr. Chun smiled. And I can teach both of you more Chinese recipes. Rose would have liked that. Their first family dinner was simple, but special. Mr. Chun cooked chicken with vegetables. Sarah made her mother's favorite bread. Michael brought flowers for the table. They ate slowly and talked about their week. During dinner, Michael told them about his students. One little girl had painted a picture of her family, but she was sad because her grandmother had died. Michael helped her paint a star in the sky above her family. He told her that people we love become stars when they die, and they watch over us. That is beautiful, Sarah said. I like to think my mother is watching over us too. And my sister. Rose, Mr. Chun added. Maybe they are together now, looking down at us and smiling. After dinner, they sat in the living room listening to the clocks. Sarah was working on a particularly difficult watch. Michael was reading a book about teaching art. Mr. Chun was writing a letter to his brother in China. He wanted to tell his brother about finding Sarah and Michael. I have an idea, Sarah said suddenly. What if we wrote to all our relatives? We could tell them about our family reunion. Maybe some of them would want to visit. Michael looked up from his book. That is a great idea. I still have addresses for some of Rose's children. They are my aunts and uncles. Mr. Chun nodded. And my brother in China has always wanted to visit America. Maybe now he will have a reason to come. They spent the next hour making a list of all the relatives they could contact. The list was longer than Sarah had expected. She realized that she was not alone in the world after all. She had a big family spread out across different cities and countries. This feels like a miracle, Sarah said. 3 months ago, I thought I had no family. Now look at us. Michael smiled. My grandmother Rose always said that family finds a way to come back together. She was right. Mr. Chun looked at both young people with tears in his eyes. Your mother and grandmother would be so proud of us. We have taken something broken and made it whole again. Sarah thought about her mother's letter and the chain of events it had started. One letter had brought together 3 people who needed each other. It had created a new family from the pieces of old ones. We should write our own letter, Sarah said. To all our relatives? We should tell them that the Sheen family is back. Together, yes, Mr. Chun said. And we should invite them all to come visit. This house has been quiet for too long. As Sarah walked home that night, she felt grateful for everything that had happened. She had lost her mother, but she had gained a grandfather and a cousin. She had learned about her family history and her place in it. Most importantly, she had learned that love and family can survive anything, even years of separation and silence. Sarah looked up at the stars and smiled. Somewhere up there, Her mother and great-aunt Rose were probably watching over their family reunion, and Sarah was certain they were happy with what they saw. 6 months after their first family dinner, Sarah's life had changed completely. The letters they had sent to relatives had brought amazing results. 3 of Michael's aunts had written back with excitement. Mr. Chun's brother in China had called on the phone for the first time in 20 years. Even some distant cousins had reached out after hearing about the family reunion, but the biggest surprise came on a Tuesday morning in spring. Sarah was at work at the insurance office where she had worked for 3 years. She was typing on her computer when her phone rang. "Sarah Wilson?" the voice on the phone said. "Yes, this is Sarah. My name is Dr. Jennifer Liu. I am a doctor at City General Hospital. I think we might be related." Sarah almost dropped the phone. "Related? How?" "I received a letter from a Mr. Chun. He said he was looking for family members." The letter mentioned a Linda Chun who became Linda Wilson and worked as a nurse. I knew Linda Wilson. She was my colleague for 5 years before she died. Sarah's heart started beating fast. "You knew my mother?" "Yes, I did." "And Sarah, there is something I need to tell you." "Something your mother asked me to tell you if anything ever happened to her?" Sarah felt dizzy. "What do you mean?" "Can you come to the hospital today? I think we should talk in person." Sarah told her boss she had a family emergency and left work immediately. She took the bus to City General Hospital, the same hospital where her mother had worked. Sarah had been there a few times to pick up her mother after work, but she had never been inside the medical offices. Dr. Liu met Sarah in the lobby. She was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes behind glasses. She looked professional but warm. "Sarah, thank you for coming so quickly. Let's go to my office where we can talk privately." They walked through the hospital corridors. Sarah saw nurses and doctors walking quickly, taking care of patients. This was where her mother had spent most of her adult life. In Dr. Liu's office. Sarah sat down and waited. Dr. Liu looked at her carefully. "Sarah, I need to ask you something first. Do you know why your mother never talked about her family?" Sarah told Dr. Liu everything she had learned about her mother's past. She explained about the fight with her grandfather, about David's death, and about the name change. Dr. Liu listened carefully. When Sarah finished, Dr. Liu nodded. "That explains a lot. Your mother was always very private about her past, but she and I became close friends over the years. Sometimes she would tell me things she could not tell anyone else." "What kind of things?" Dr. Liu opened a drawer in her desk and took out an envelope. "About 2 years ago, your mother gave me this. She made me promise to give it to you if she died. She said it contained something important that you needed to know." Sarah took the envelope with shaking hands. Her name was written on it in her mother's handwriting. "What is it?" Sarah asked. "I do not know. Linda never told me what was inside, but she said it would help you understand her better." Sarah opened the envelope carefully. Inside was another letter from her mother and a small key. Sarah read the letter silently. Her mother wrote that she had been saving money for years in a safety deposit box at the bank. The key was for that box. The letter said there was enough money to help Sarah buy a house or go to school or whatever she wanted to do with her life, but the letter said something else too. Something that made Sarah gasp. "What is it?" Dr. Liu asked. Sarah looked up with tears in her eyes. "My mother says she has a brother named Robert Chun. She says he lives in the city and works as a mechanic. She never contacted him because she was afraid he would be angry about the family fight." Dr. Liu smiled. "Another family member?" "Yes, my mother says Robert is 2 years younger than her. He stayed with my grandfather when she left home. She says she used to see him sometimes from far away, but she never talked to him." Sarah felt excited and nervous at the same time. She had an uncle, another relative she had never met. "Do you want to try to find him?" Dr. Liu asked. "Yes, but I do not know how." Dr. Liu thought for a moment. "Robert Chun, mechanic. There are not that many auto repair shops in the city. We could call them and ask." They spent the next hour calling auto repair shops. On the 7th call, they found him. Robert Chun worked at Chun's Auto Repair on the south side of the city? Chun's Auto Repair, a man's voice answered. Is this Robert Chun? Sarah asked. Yes. Who is this? Sarah took a deep breath. My name is Sarah Wilson. I think you are my uncle. There was a long silence on the phone. Then Robert said, Wilson? Are you Linda's daughter? Yes, I am. Oh my God, Robert said softly. Is Linda okay? I have been worried about her for years. Sarah felt sad to have to give him bad news. Uncle Robert, my mother died 4 months ago. She heard Robert make a sound like he was crying. I am so sorry, Sarah. I loved Linda very much. I never stopped. Looking for her. You looked for her? Yes, for years. I knew she had changed her name, but I did not know what name she was using. I hired a detective once, but he could not find her. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. Her mother had been hiding from people who loved her and wanted to find her. Uncle Robert, there is so much I need to tell you. Can we meet? Yes, of course. Ken. You come to my shop? I close at 6, but I will wait for you. Sarah took a taxi to the south side of the city. Chun's Auto Repair was a small garage with 2 work bays. There were several cars waiting to be fixed. Sarah could see a man in work clothes cleaning his hands with a rag. Uncle Robert? Sarah called. The man turned around. He was about 50 years old with gray hair and strong hands. He looked like her grandfather, but younger. When he saw Sarah, his eyes got wide. You look just like Linda when she was young, he said. Sarah ran to and hugged him. Robert hugged her back tightly. I can't believe it's really you, Robert said. Linda's little girl, but you're not little anymore. I have so much to tell you, Sarah said. About Mom, about Grandfather, about everything. Robert closed his shop early and they went to a nearby restaurant. Sarah told him everything that had happened since her mother's death. She told him about finding Mr. Chun and Michael. She told him about the letters and the family reunion. Robert listened with amazement. So our father is alive and well? Yes, and he has been hoping to see you again. He talks about you all the time. Robert put his head in his hands. I am such a fool. I should have tried harder to find both of them. Why didn't you go to Grandfather's house? Because I was angry too. After Linda left, Father and I fought about it. I said he was wrong too. Be so hard on her. He said I was too young to understand. We said terrible things to each other. I moved out when I was 21 and started my own business. I visited him sometimes, but we were never close again. Sarah realized that the family had been broken in many places, not just between her mother and grandfather. Uncle Robert, would you like to meet Grandfather and Michael? We have dinner together every Sunday. Robert's eyes lit up. Michael? Who is Michael? Sarah explained about Michael and their great-aunt Rose. Robert shook his head in wonder. So, many family members I never knew about. Rose had grandchildren, and now we are all finding each other. Will you come to dinner on Sunday? Robert hesitated. I want to, but I am nervous. What if Father is still angry with me? He is not angry. He is lonely. He misses you and Mom very much. He told me he wishes he had been a better father. Robert thought about this. Okay, I will come. But Sarah, can you tell him I am coming? I do not want to surprise him too much. Sarah smiled. I will tell him tonight. He will be so happy. That evening, Sarah went to her grandfather's house. Michael was there, grading papers from his students. Mr. Chun was working on a clock that someone had brought him to fix. Grandfather, Sarah said, I have news. Mr. Chun looked up from his work. Good news, I hope. I found Uncle Robert. Mr. Chin dropped his tools. Michael stopped grading papers. They both stared at Sarah. Robert? My son Robert? Yes, he has been looking for Mom and you for years. He wants to see you. Mr. Chun sat down heavily in his chair. Robert wants to see me? Yes, he is coming to dinner on Sunday. Tears started rolling down Mr. Chun's face. My son is coming home. Michael got up and put his hand on Mr. Chun's shoulder. This is wonderful news. Mr. Chun wiped his eyes and smiled. Sarah, you have brought our whole family back together. How can I ever thank you? Sarah thought about her mother's letter, the one that had started everything. "You don't need to thank me, grandfather. We are family. This is what family does." Sunday came quickly. Sarah arrived early to help cook dinner. Michael had bought flowers for the table. Mr. Chan had been nervous all week, but now he seemed calm and ready. At exactly 6 o'clock there was a knock on the door. Mr. Chun opened it, and there stood Robert, holding a bottle of wine and looking nervous. "Hello, father," Robert said. "Hello, my son," Mr. Chun replied. They looked at each other for a long moment. Then Mr. Chun stepped forward and hugged Robert tightly. "I have missed you so much," Mr. Chun said. "I have missed you too, father. I'm sorry for all the lost years. We are together now. That is what matters." Sarah watched her grandfather and uncle reunite and felt her heart fill with joy. Her mother's letter had not just brought Sarah to her grandfather. It had brought their whole family back together. Linda Wilson had done in death what she could not do in life. She had healed the broken family and made them whole again.